Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Filmbusters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusterspod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters.
Goodbye, the yellow brick road.
The yellow brick road. Why is it the?
This is the yellow brick road, isn't it? Goodbye.
It's just yellow brick road. There's no the about it.
Well, there's only one of them, isn't there?
Isn't it goodbye to Yellow Brick Road?
There's no nothing. It's just goodbye yellow brick road.
Goodbye to Yellow Brick Road.
There's no to. There's no the. It's just yellow brick
Pretty
road.
sure it is.
Considering his album is called Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, I don't know why he'd suddenly add a to or a the in there.
Because doesn't sell as well on the album, so
I'm literally looking at the lyrics.
There's no to
or the.
there's no to other.
Goodbye, yellow brick road.
That was the exclusive album I have of his.
Yeah.
He wrote it especially for Paul.
It's just
Paul
called Two.
I don't like it.
Yes.
He had two
It's
into
not
his
even by
songs.
Elton John either.
Anyway, should we talk about some films now?
Yeah.
Actually, no, let's not even talk about films. Let's talk about how last episode was chaos.
What was wrong with the last episode, Paul?
I wasn't there.
Yeah, but it still wasn't chaos. It was just unscripted, unedited.
It was unscripted, unedited chaos. And, I enjoyed it.
I'm glad you did. I did not enjoy listening back to it.
Why did you hate yourself in it?
I mean, I hated all of us by the end of it.
There's a steady decline of sanity after you've been drinking.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, we didn't even drink that much.
We didn't drink that much, no, but it was because of the stinger is I don't even think Dan was drinking, so Dan was sober throughout the whole thing. Does he not drink?
No, he does drink. He just wasn't drinking then.
Yeah. I don't know how much you'd had. I'd had 1 pint before.
Yeah, and then we just had a couple of beers during the film and then a couple of gin and tonics at the end.
Yeah.
It's when the free pouring happened, that's when it all went wrong.
It was the damn G&T at that end.
It's also the energy of being in the room together.
Yeah. Apologies to listeners, because as it here, this is very ordered, structured. We're all speaking into our individual mics. When you're all in person, you talk over each other much more.
Adam's very excitable.
It was just like recording our Tomb Raider episode.
It was a nice nostalgic return to Tomb Raider chaos.
Yeah. But normal service is resumed. The whole gang's back in town for this record.
We are. I'm back.
It's the first time in a while though, isn't it?
When did we record Streetcar Named Desire? I feel like that was about a month ago.
Late January?
No, it was February. I tell you when it was. We recorded it, I think, on Friday the 10th. We're now recording this on Tuesday the 7th of March. So yeah, almost a month since the three of us got around a mic.
Wow.
How you feeling?
I'm
nice
feeling
to
fine.
Be back.
I'm feeling great. I've got a nice tan. I had a nice holiday, nice relaxing time, and I really enjoyed your episode. So, in my eyes, you did a wonderful job.
We entertained you, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, you entertained me. That's all that matters. Yeah. Even though, guys, that was a bad film.
Yeah.
It was a lot better being in that room.
How do you feel on reflection?
On reflection, I'd give it a lower score, but it was in the spirit of the thing, because of the being together and whatnot. Have to stick with the 7, don't I?
Oh, you stick with it.
Yeah.
I got the sober lens, so at least I can smash it down the list a little bit.
When the end of the year comes, we can see what we're going to do about it all. But
oh yes, we will. Well, for now, shall we go on to talking about what we're talking about today?
I suppose we better.
Well, we're doing my
It's been
picks
so
today.
long since we did anything in this round that
I know,
we need to
1951.
recalibrate.
I know.
We've been in this fucking year forever, mate.
It's Julio's round. He said, "Hey, do Strangers on the Train."
We
It's in
said,
1951.
okay, you're paying
We
us.
said okay. 1951. Ben, what did you pick?
I said, let's stick around a while longer and go to Streetcar Named Desire.
And I said, how about we stick around a little bit longer and let's do this film today, The Prowler. None of us have seen it.
Yeah.
Never even heard of it.
And I'm like in the background saying, please don't leave without me saying something.
Oh, well, you're going to say something at the end of this episode, I'm sure.
Oh, might have to.
Oh, yes.
You are going to have to. We're going to be in this year for fucking ages, mate, because the episode after this, we're not even going to 1951. We're taking the detour first.
I think this
That's
is
true.
I think the next episode is going to be my first film from 2023.
Oh, is it?
Oh, okay.
I think you've only watched Plane, haven't you?
I've watched The Pale Blue Eye.
I've watched 4 films, I think. But we're not talking about that yet. We can talk about the end of the episode. Yes, we're going to do The Prowler today, but before we go on to The Prowler, let's talk about our Patreon channel, www.patreon.com/filmbusters, where you can get exclusive content, you can get exclusive episode, you can come on the show, you can be part of the family. Adam, what are we doing on the episode after this episode today?
We are talking about our end of month films, the films that we watched in February. While we weren't talking to you or watching films for you, we watched some other films, and we had to talk about those ones.
Yeah, our favourite ones, our top 3 to be exact, and our bottom worst.
Exactly.
It's all very good over there. A lot of movie.
There's a lot of movies, so if you're not signed up, I wouldn't bother listening.
We don't really spoil any of them, so just listen ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead and listen.
We might inspire you to go and join up to movie. Say it.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's right. We might do that, or we may put you off because of the quality of films that we have chosen as our highlights.
But you will never know unless you sign up for a mere £1.
Mm-hmm.
May as well sign up. You know, cost of living and all that shit. You may as well sign up. You waste so much money these days, you may as well spend a few quid to something that's actually a good cause, you know?
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Hey, we're going out for a nice dinner. In fact, the dear patrons are contributing to our first official Film Busters dinner.
Oh, that'll be
We're going to have a
won't
lovely
it?
dinner, we're going to have a nice dinner, and then eat dinner.
A dinner, and a dinner.
Yeah.
When are we going to do that?
Well, I think we're going to go have a lovely dinner in sort of like June, July. We'll sit down, have a nice dinner. There'll be a nice dinner, and then we'll have a little drink afterwards.
And a dinner.
Yeah.
And it'll be not a working dinner. It will be a chance for us to say, boys, congrats on all of us. We've been working hard for the last 5 years. 5 years of the podcast. Congrats. And we'll slap each other on the back.
Maybe some high fives.
5.5 years actually. Yeah.
That cheeks.
Anyway, I'm gonna say something. The other day, I saw I don't know if it was a tweet or a video, and it said, my biggest number one hate when I listen to a new podcast for the first time. Do you know what they said? What do you think they said their biggest hate was?
Preamble.
People talking over each other's.
Both of those things. Preamble. Basically, any podcast that starts with the hosts making in jokes, talking about themselves in a way that the person who's never listened before can't immediately access, they switch off and they don't come back.
Well, I like a bit of personality in my podcast, so fuck you, whoever said that.
I know, but I do like a bit of orientation. I think we've done all right by having the intro up front.
Yes.
Because the intro establishes it. Like, we've got that's kind of it. That's our get out of jail free card, isn't it? Having
It's
that
true,
intro.
yeah. Yes. Come on, you want to show a bit of personality on a podcast, don't you?
I know. Do you think that's personality what we do? Do you think we're really annoying?
Debatable.
It is debatable, isn't it?
Well, shall we move on then?
Yeah.
Adam, let's do the staple of every episode, shall we? This is where Adam goes, fuck, I forgot about the questions.
Also, all I'm going to say is I feel like 1951 is the hardest year ever for films.
For you.
Questions.
For you.
Why? How is it? You can create any question from the film.
These films don't lend themselves to questions.
Here's a question you could ask. What is his sign-off on the radio station?
That's way too obvious.
Yeah, but well, there you go. Do you know the answer?
It's like see you later season.
Exactly.
No, go
you're wrong. Way too obvious, he says, but he
What is
gets it
it
wrong. I'll be seeing you, Susan.
Oh, fuck off. That's just the modern way. That's the old person way of saying it. That's a 1951
The old
saying.
person.
Exactly.
That's the old way of saying see you later.
Anyway,
you
let's
want a
explain
question?
to the folks how it goes first before you give it the question.
No, I don't know. These people don't like the preamble, so I'm just going to skip past it.
This is not preamble, this is context.
There's a difference.
So I'm going to ask these two some questions. If they get it right, they get the point. If I get it right, I get the point. Are you ready? What's the score?
No.
What's the scores?
Because you can't get it right, and also
Well,
what's
if they
the
get it
score?
wrong, I get the question. Paul is winning. He's got 5 points. Ben has 3 of them. I have 3 of them.
Okay.
It's correct.
One
you
of us
ready?
could catch Paul. Yes.
What is the name of the basketball team Webb played for?
Oh, fuck off. Paul ain't getting that either.
Fucking hell.
Neither of us. Give
Basketball
up.
team Webb played for.
Ain't even trying on that one. No way. No way.
I don't even remember him playing basketball in any of the
When he first meets her in the house and they recognise each other, and he said,
Talks about their college days.
You played for against my team, which was
no idea.
East Indianapolis.
Well, there you go. That's what it was. So you got a question?
All right, on this second question, I'm going to give it, if you get this within 5 seconds, if you get this within 5 seconds, you get the point, okay?
Okay.
How long is Webb climbing up the hill before he falls down?
Oh, shit.
I mean,
30
I don't
seconds.
yeah, I don't even think it was that long, but maybe it was. If he's saying 30, I'm going 20.
1 minute and 2 seconds.
Wow.
That was
felt
longer
like
than I thought.
It felt like it was going on forever.
I don't remember it feeling that long.
No,
There you
neither
go.
do I.
Fucking hell.
It felt like it was going on forever. That's why I made a note of it. I was like, how long is this guy climbing this hill for? And he was doing it in the most ridiculous way. And then he rolls down it a little bit. Then he climbs back up it. And then spoilers happen. And we'll move on.
Hey, well, guess what? Adam got all the points.
Look at you, Adam.
I'm in
at
last
you.
place.
Adam got all the questions right, as he predicted.
I know. Fucking hell.
Exactly.
How the fuck am I in last place, man?
Very sorry about that.
All the listeners can't believe it.
They cannot believe it. They're gobsmacked. Should we move on to this film?
Yes.
Let's talk about the Prowler.
There's nothing wrong with being a policeman.
Nothing wrong with digging ditches either, or delivering the mail. I'd rather be one of those guys shows up around 10 in the morning after having a big argument with himself over whether he'll drive the station wagon today or the convertible.
What are you looking for, cigarettes?
Yeah, fresh out. You don't smoke, do you?
No, but my husband does, only he keeps them locked up.
Are you kidding?
Well, no, he keeps a carton of more in there all the time. If you were a good locksmith, I could give you a pack.
Hold on. Give me a bobby pin. Does he keep everything locked up?
Mostly.
You too?
That's a leading question.
Probably does. A mean, jealous guy like that wants his wife all to himself. I can't say I blame him, though. I'd do the same myself.
Righto for one, today we are doing The Prowler from 1951 by Joseph Losey. This is a spoiler episode. If you have not seen the film, we'll be spoiling it terribly for you, so you might want to go watch it and come back and listen. No one's been in the film that we've done before, so it's all
Shocked.
very fresh for every actor and actress and director. So we can go straight on to Adam describing what the plot was.
This plot is about a creepy policeman officer. That's it.
The end.
Yeah, it is.
Even in a sentence, he managed to fuck it up. A creepy policeman officer.
And his dad's a policeman as well. I can't get that right.
It's from Hot Fuzz, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
He
I
says
didn't
you
get
can't
that
call-
reference.
How many
He
times
goes-
have you come out with some Hot Fuzz references
I
in the
always say
past
that all the
few
time.
episodes?
It's when he says to him, "You can't." Oh, look at a policeman over there. And you go, "No, you don't say man. You say officer." And he goes, "Oh yeah, policeman officer."
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Oh, well.
Very well done.
Shut my mouth.
Shut
Anyway.
my mouth.
Yeah, it's about a policeman who befriends this lady for gains in the monetary question.
Spoilers.
Is that spoiler?
Well, it's
see.
kind of a
Well,
revelation.
I mean, in the film, we're going to spoil it all for them.
Yeah, true,
Yes,
to be
exactly. So
fair.
it doesn't matter.
Maybe put the spoilers at the beginning.
Yeah.
I feel like apart from him being a policeman and she's a woman, you can't really describe the plot.
Okay.
I mean, you certainly can't.
No,
do
you can't.
I'll keep you doing the quiz this week to think about that.
To think about the film that you watched.
You guys
Yeah.
might have to do the plot summaries from now on for the rest of the year.
We all know people would riot if we did
They
the
would.
plot summaries.
They would.
Okay, you do a plot summary right now for this film.
A prowler looking through the window reveals oneself to be a police officer. What ensues is a series of trials and tribulations in which the women of the house subject themselves to his seduction.
I think
That's an interesting thing you said at the beginning, though.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a second. Won't we? Anyway, I didn't really get the chance to do much research on this one, even though we've had fucking weeks and weeks and weeks. I got super busy and then realised last minute that I hadn't done any research on it. So I thought what would be interesting, instead of me doing the usual context, is if we've been talking about it with all the 1951 films, the production code, right?
Oh, yes, okay.
Here is a letter from Joseph Breen, the head of the production code office. This is a letter he sent to the director of this film when he saw the first draft of the script.
Wow, okay.
Here's the letter. This script is unacceptable under the code, and a motion picture based on it would never be approved without specific revisions. The general tone of the story needs to be raised considerably. As written, this is a story of extremely low moral tone, with emphasis on almost animal-like instincts and passions. The attraction of the two romantic leads should be one of love rather than lust. Susan must resist Webb's amorous advances much more strenuously, and the sex affair should take place later in the relationship than it does now. Details of their affair must be kept to an absolute minimum, consistent with the proper telling of the story. And that was the letter.
Do you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the priest in Cinema Paradiso.
Oh yes. Now don't you? But that priest is a stand-in for the fucking code in the context of that film, eh? Remove that. You remember that when the reel was just spinning in the projection roof, and every time he rings his bell, Alfredo's got to stick the paper in.
Yeah,
So he remembers where to cut out the scenes. What a film! What a film!
What a film! What a
So
film!
did every script have to be read by like this guy before it could be made?
And not just that guy, that whole production office, to ensure nothing terrible made it through. But one other additional for that, the screenplay for this was written by someone called Dalton Trumbo, who was actually blacklisted in Hollywood at the time. He was suspected of being a communist and was not allowed to work, so he actually wrote the script under a ghost name and
Pseudonym.
Pseudonym, there we go, thank you, Paul. And it was released.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
Right, this is my film. I get to decide what order we'd our first impressions in. I'm just
It's
going
not
to go
your
first.
film, is it?
It is my film. I made the film.
He made it. He
I
owns the
made it.
rights.
It's going to be
done in
me.
your past life if you
He
believe
is
in
the Prowler.
reincarnation.
I am the Prowler. We're not going to do Filmmaster's order. We're going to go me, Ben, Adam.
Okay.
How'd you feel about
Okay.
that? Yeah? You okay with that?
We don't often do it that way.
Well, I thought I'd throw something into the mix. So here we go.
Party time, baby. Party time.
What do I think about this film? First of all, I think the title's great in a way because I was lulled into believing that I kind of understood what the film's going to be about, but it actually really kind of subverts the idea of what the Prowler was, and more so in a broad daylight than in shadows kind of way. I did really enjoy the interaction between Susan and Webb. There is like this constant underlining threat that permeates every scene with them, and even when like the swelling romantic songs come in, there's just something really off, which is great. and as it should be, really, is like as this motherfucker's forcing himself on her from day one, this gross man, and that's not really romantic, is it? But they still play the romantic music. But I think there's some really great ideas in this movie which I enjoyed too. I was hoping like I was kind of hoping the whole story was going to be set in one location for starters, and I thought about halfway it was all set in that one house. And then I was like, oh, they broke it. They kind of broke it like halfway through, but I dug when we got it just in the house in that first half. Great, one of the best things from this film, the idea of using the radio and the recordings to almost make it feel like the husband was always present in the house, and it like never feels safe. And from what starts being quite sweet with the "I'll be seeing you, Susan," actually turned to something of a threat. Like, I really like that. I enjoy the happy-go-lucky police partner who only ever seemed to be concerned with his rocks and had absolutely no suspicion in the slightest, even when it's right in his face. And overall, I think it was a cool little plot. I did feel like there was something more going on that was going to be revealed, like come by the end, but it never actually materialised. Like when you said that the Prowler was actually the policeman, I never thought they actually like showed that explicitly. I thought that it just so happened.
I thought it was just explained enough that,
and then started. But I felt like it was all subtext, and he got the idea when he saw the will rather than beforehand. But regardless, I had a good time with it. We can talk about that stuff. It's pretty solid, great performances, and it doesn't outstay its welcome in the slightest, I don't think. So there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't outstay its welcome. Well, I was taken back because when it started, I thought right from the off, oh, okay, so this is what it's about. It's a creep cop. He was there looking through the window at this woman. Then he turns up at her house as a sort of protector, and then he's just returning, putting himself on her. Like in the 50s, particularly, I thought, what? That's ballsy storytelling. Like one of your public officials, the people you meant to put your trust in back then, showing how creepy they are. So we could talk about whether or not that was him actually looking through the window. Either way, he's a fucking creep, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And what I was hoping for, which it didn't go this way, but what I thought we were getting based on that first half hour was this basically traditional gender swapping, where you get the crazy woman, like Fatal Attraction kind of thing, where they become obsessed with a person and infiltrate their home life and put themselves upon them. And the first half of the film is kind of like that, where he decides he wants to break into this woman's life and replace her husband, essentially. But then it does something interesting. It layers it up because it makes her not entirely unwilling to his advances, even though he is being essentially a sex pest. And I think for the time, there is a scene when he finally seduces her, or not even seduces her, when he finally forces himself on her. I think like modern day, that's a rape scene. But in this film, it fades out, and then she's kind of welcoming and accepting of it because she's not completely happy with her husband at home. And there's a few things going on for her at home which makes her not completely against his advances. And then the film shifts from this kind of like insidious, scary, oh, what's going to happen in this home environment, to them just having this like relationship together after he murders the husband. And they go off together. And I'm like, are we going to get a reveal that he's working on some great master plan here? Like something more evil is coming from this man? And it kind of didn't happen, but I wasn't actually all that mad about it, because as it got into like its final third, it was more about the veil kind of dropping from her eyes and her finally seeing him for who he was and what he was, which was actually this complete control freak who, rightly or wrongly, regardless of how the pregnancy came about, took this woman from a house in suburbia with a husband always under a watchful eye to the middle of fucking nowhere, out in a vacant, cavernous, rocky place where they have nothing but their home together and the baby that they're going to raise. And when it got to the end, I was kind of like, I don't know how I'm meant to feel about the chain of events that have happened here. Like I wasn't like disappointed, but kind of like what you said, I thought, what is it saying? What is it intending for us to take away from the film by this point at the end? So it hit me from sideways, the way it shifted for that second half. I thought we were in for a more thriller all the way with this creepy cop, and then it became more like, oh, she actually falls in love with this creepy cop, and we don't really address how creepy he is until the very end.
For sure. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, it starts off so interesting and so for me, and you're like, okay, where like the mystery about it all, but I just don't think it elaborates on it very well, and it's such a short film, but I thought it outstayed its welcome. I was just like, by the end of it, I was just like, I just didn't really get any of this film. I enjoyed it, but it didn't. I was like, it could have done so much better with what it had at the beginning. Yeah, it was just, I felt like it started off with legs and mystery, and it just was a bit weird and a bit convoluted and a bit all over the place, and yeah, and then it kind of ended. Well, it got a bit better towards the end, but that middle bit, it really did lose me. Like when he's like running around the key, looking for the key in the apartment, all that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, you're back to kind of being weird and like mysterious, but like the bit when they were just kind of being like a normal couple, and you would like, I was just like, this is weird. I don't really get it.
Okay.
Adam definitely didn't like that film.
Not really, no.
See, I think it subverts your expectations, and I think the thing is that it's just deciding whether it done it for the good of the film or bad of the film. I'm not sure. Like, it definitely, I'm really torn on whether he was actually the Prowler looking through the window, but I guess he must have been.
Well, there is never any Prowler that is actually caught, right?
No, exactly.
That opening scene, the implication, I mean, here's my third note that I wrote. Immediately know this one casual cop is the Prowler. That's my third note, because the minute he walks into that home, he's being so fucking creepy.
Yeah, and so dismissive of her faults.
Yeah. And because he comes right back to her house.
Yeah, it's when he came back into the house and went, oh, this is what we always do. It's like, you're just being weird
like,
now, mate.
Okay, that's got to be you, right? I mean, maybe this was to get around the code, because if they had explicitly said he was the Prowler, that would have been too detrimental to the police force, you know?
You have to read into it a bit. But I think that what it does when it doesn't like explain that is it makes you think, so was this a plan all along? It's like, has he got a master plan here, or has he just decided he really wants to be in a relationship with this woman, or is it just because of the money, because he kind of feels like he does fall in love with her, and then it's just like, I can't get his mindset.
No, not at all. But that's kind of what makes it interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
because it wasn't. It was such an about turn when it went from like. Did you guys think that it was going to be that kind of film like Fatal Attraction, where he was just going to become like this murderous bastard who killed her husband and was stalking her throughout the film? So it was like, all right, now not only have I killed her husband, we're getting married and we got a baby on the way. It's like, what?
And it's like,
what?
It's almost like at every turn you're like, okay, now he's gonna like do something sinister, and it's like, but he basically just gets to the end. It's like, and he's found out, but not to say that he would if he didn't get found out at that point, he probably would have still been in a relationship with her, because he's with her. I guess he is in love with her, but who knows? But he also has the money with her, so he's not going to leave her.
No. I mean, no, he's not. No. I mean, I assumed he was like a proper. See, this is the most interesting stuff about the film, is being so unclear on everything.
Yeah, because you can read
it
into
kind of feels like, what does that mean? When he killed her husband, for example, did he intentionally know that's her husband, I'll kill him, get him out of the picture?
Yes.
Or, okay.
For me, he did.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I think that's what makes it so like cloudy in what his intentions are, because he's almost like manipulating the situation when he says he doesn't want to see her anymore, and she's so desperate to see him, and then he almost like has a wrap around his finger. And do you remember that phone call where he's like, I just can't do anything. He has to, like, until he's gone, I can't do anything. And then he says, I can't, and he puts the phone down and has a smile on his face, like, I've got her now.
Yeah, that's right.
I think in a way, he was expecting her to be happy. He got rid of the husband.
Yeah. And after a while, she was.
I don't know. It's almost like she closed her eyes to it all. I feel like she
Well,
knew.
she didn't though, did she? Because when she's in court, she's like, "He's the murderer. He killed my husband."
true,
Like, she
yeah.
stands up in court
He
screaming out
almost
when he gets
convinces
off.
her, doesn't he?
Yeah, and isn't it her husband's brother-in-law who, after speaking with Webb, goes to her and is like, "Oh, he's a good man. He's very sorry."
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah. I think and that is another step of manipulation right there, isn't it? He goes to the brother-in-law and he's like, "Here, look, just give her all this money." And it's like he's trying to set up a backstory for himself. Because he was never intending for the money to go to her, really, was he?
No, you're right. And that is what it is. Just in this last few minutes, 100% cemented. He's a absolute terrible cunt. He is a monster. Yeah, that's right. All of this stuff is it's just layered. And particularly layered for a night. I think you're not expecting to see it in a film from 1951 so complex. In terms of like motive, normally back then you would assume it would be very clear, like intentions would always be clear. He's a gaslighter ahead of the term ever even fucking existing.
Absolute control freak.
Yes.
I'm not under the impression that he didn't love her. I feel like he's
he
fallen
was
in love with this.
obsessed with her though,
he's
right?
obsessed with her, and he's like, my way or the highway.
It's my way or the highway. Now what's it gonna be, Mr. Pink? All right, Joel, forget it. Mr. Pink.
Very good.
Yes. I mean, first of all, to have a cop presented in that way was pretty groundbreaking.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have respect to that. I also think it was pretty whether you morally, this is where the code came in, being outraged, I suppose, but it's pretty progressive for the time, if you want to call it that the woman who has a husband willingly goes along with an affair and is seduced. That's a bit salacious. That's a little bit blasphemous for the time.
This motel they opened better be the best motel in the world, because...
Do you know what? It just made me think, because at that point I was still thinking this guy is a psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? I thought it was Norman Bates. I thought this is precursor to Norman Bates, because this was made 9 years before Psycho.
Wow.
That'd be cool.
9 years before Psycho, you've got a essentially what may or may not be a psychopath running a motel. I'm sure Hitchcock maybe had a little seed planted based on this, just like, a killer running a motel. There's legs in there.
I love it.
Does he like his mother?
Yes.
Another element I enjoyed as well was is quite unique the way they played it. How you never see her husband. I think that helps into the fact that you have this ominous presence of just his voice in the house all the while, because it kind of does make it feel like they're going to get caught, and it's almost like he's narrating what they're doing at that moment, which is quite a cool idea. But I like the fact that you never see him until his demise.
That's true.
It's quite a cool little thing. It's like as soon as he turns around, that's the first time we see him, bam, he's dead.
That's true. And then that sign-off recording plays at the end when they're playing it over the what's it called? Final player.
When they're in the desert.
Yeah. And it starts booming out over, like, we can't escape this guy. But see, that's another added layer which is good, interesting. Like, I think the layers are interesting, but they're not like mind-blowing. But so the layer that's interesting there is that even though this husband was, a husband and a radio DJ and seems quite personable and whatnot, we get the inclination from her that he's a bit abusive and controlling at home. And also, we know that she's unhappy. And 100%, it's implied that she wants a baby. She has a baby with Webb, but she wants a baby and that her husband's unable to give her a baby as well. So that idea of rocking that boat, getting away from that traditional relationship into another untraditional one, but to do a traditional thing is interesting.
But also goes to show that it's that age-old thing of women falling for the same kind of man again. It's like he's gone from this really horrible, controlling man straight into the arms of a very horrible, controlling man. And it's like you think you're going to get better out of this situation, but it's like, nah, man. He's orchestrated this whole situation.
Yeah.
More controlling than the husband could be, the radio host.
It's true. I don't think that's that there were enough films back then that made people think don't trust people in positions of authority. Particularly women at home, because it did a good job up front. I don't know whether it was doing it tongue-in-cheek or whether it was just reflecting the values at the time, but when they turn up, the cops are like, oh, just don't worry about it, just keep your curtains closed and act like a bank teller, you know.
Yeah.
They hide, they
make a
cover
joke
things
out
up
of
to
it.
avoid temptation. It's like, fuck off, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like when women go out and get attacked, it's like, oh, we shouldn't have been dressed like that.
Yeah, it's your own fault.
Shouldn't have got drunk, shouldn't have been
That's
out alone
very
at
much
that
ahead
time
of its
night.
time.
It is, because I do
Yeah.
think it's taken. I think it's being satirical when it's saying that stuff rather than.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially as the guy who fucking did it, in my opinion, is in the house.
It's true. It must have been him. It's just, it doesn't explicitly say it, does it? But
Because it's called the Prowler, and if it wasn't him, why would
That's
they
the thing,
call
yeah.
it the Prowler?
yeah, it's almost like right in front of you. That's what it is.
Yes, that abuse of power. It made me think a little bit of Wayne Couzens when it got started going on.
Oh yeah.
And that,
Oh, yeah,
that, you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that idea of people just trusting people in authority. But see, this is where I'm a little bit disappointed with the film, but also not, because it flipped things a little bit, is that I wanted it to be a case of the story is she trusts him because he's a cop. There's lots of potential in that. And then it changed, but did it? Because actually maybe that is the reason that she's still, even after he's killed her husband and fled to this mountain place with her, desert place with her, she's still in some way
It's
does
only
love him
reason
because
she
he's
let
authority.
him into her house again, and the only reason he became friends with her, and the only reason she had those conversations with him about anything. So the only reason he was in that house and talking to her was because of the fact he's a cop.
See, this
That's
is very
right.
interesting, actually, because I felt like after the case had happened, after he'd orchestrated the death of her husband, he decides to quit being a police officer, right? And it's almost like, well, that the job he went there to do is finished because he's got everything he wanted out of that by abusing the power to get her.
Yes.
It's almost like that was part of the plan.
Yeah.
Because it was like he was very fresh on the job when he first started.
He hated it though, didn't he? Because didn't
Yeah,
he say
that's
something
what I
like
felt.
about how he hated being a cop?
Yeah, that's what I felt like. He hated it because it's not actually what he wants to do. It's almost like he did it to facilitate his own plan to get her.
Yeah.
Which was quite interesting. I think that is what makes this film interesting. Everything is so vague that you have to kind of read into what his mindset is.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I thought, I agree, it's vague, but I just felt it was a bit too vague and a bit too. The stuff that was making this film better for me was when it was more to the point and more creepy, rather than him just trying to act like a normal person, them acting like a normal couple.
I agree with that.
I get that. Yeah, I get that. But I do like the whole setup of the when he goes to get the husband as well, and he's doing the whole squeaky gate thing, the cut in the window, as if he's trying to like make out as if a Prowler is coming. I think that was a really good setup.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. But then, like, when she calls the Prowler in, doesn't she? She makes a phone call. So are we to assume then that he was prowling at the window again to set that up?
It was because she had told the husband that there was a Prowler, that the policeman had come round, because she was suspecting that, or he was suspecting that she was having an affair, which she was at that time. And then, so he was under the impression that there could be a Prowler around. So when he squeaks the gate and cuts the window, the husband's immediately has his back up, like, there's someone here, I need to get my gun. And then, I mean, it was very lucky that the husband was home, because he also quit his job at that point as well.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, are we giving it? You either think that the film did all this vagueness intentionally, so in which
give
case
it too
it's
much
great.
slack, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, basically, are we giving it too much credit? Adam isn't. Adam's decided no, that wasn't enough for him, so he's out. But are me and you giving it too much credit here?
Well,
Is there enough? Is there enough to suggest that the things, the layers,
I think there is, because it almost wants you to pull on that thread and it's making me want to pull on that thread. So I think there is something there. Yeah, exactly. It wants to be kind of like delved into and try and work out what his plan was. Was it a plan all along? Was it just he fell into the circumstances and was able to get this money out of her?
Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
Yeah. There is... The thing that is interesting also is that, in a way, if you look at it in the context of what had come before it at that point, if we're calling it a film noir, back then it was women who were seducing men. Villainous women. Or bad women who are seducing men in the line of work. But it's a gender swap again here, because it's he, the bad guy, seducing this flawed but innocent woman.
Yes. Yeah. It's true. Very true.
Reversing the old gender stereotypes and whatnot. Bryan Cranston played the writer Dalton Trumbo of this in a film. I ain't seen it though.
Oh wait,
he played what?
Trumbo.
Trumbo. There's a film called Trumbo.
Was that all about this guy?
It's about this blacklisted screenwriter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Might give us some context to the man.
He might mention the Prowler in the film.
He might mention the Prowler. Yeah, maybe that's a plot point.
Whether it's the policeman or not.
And we'll have context.
We might have context.
That'd be nice.
But he called himself Hugo Butler for this film. Because he didn't want to be Trumbo. Trumbo's a cool name.
I'm guessing that name's changed now on the actual writing credit, is it?
No, on the credit, when you see it, it still says Hugo Butler. Or at least it does in the film. I don't know, subsequently on records if it's changed.
I'm wondering if it's on Letterboxd. Yeah. It's changed or not. I'm looking now.
But like, if this was a modern film now that was released, and the plot was Ben Affleck is a cop, he seduces Carey Mulligan, let's say, whose husband Ryan Gosling, let's just say, is a DJ, and Ben Affleck kills Ryan Gosling so that he can run off with Carey Mulligan. But so far, up to that point, we're like, right, Ben Affleck's a villain. He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Carey Mulligan loves Ben Affleck because she's seduced by him. He's attractive, better than Gosling. And then they have this baby and they're like, oh shit, people are going to know we were having an affair, so we need to run off so no one knows it. And then it ends, even though they're seemingly in love, it ends with Carey Mulligan realising that Ben Affleck is going to kill the doctor. So she's like, I know who you are, but it's like, you knew who he was anyway. You know that he killed your husband.
This is why you were crying in court. Yeah,
this is why you were crying in court. So why all of a sudden now are you surprised to learn that this man is a monster?
I think that's the thing, because I think she almost has fallen herself into believing that he did that for love. Not just because he does it for every situation he's in, like, I'm going to kill this person because I'm going to get caught otherwise. I felt there was a little element of that, even though he did go out his way to convince her that what he did was all above board. I knew she kind of knew what the truth was. Bud never knew. Bud had no idea.
Who's Bud?
The partner.
Oh, the partner, the innocent partner. Oh, man, I felt so sorry for him after he had driven out of the way to go and visit them. And then when you finally see your mate you ain't seen in ages, he's like, get out of the way.
And when he's bibbing at first, and he's like shouting back going, hey, man, come on. And then you realise, it's him. Oh, hello, you okay?
Imagine that was one of us, and you hadn't seen the other one for ages, and when you're finally driving up the driveway to see them, we came slamming the other way. Get out of the way!
He's like
pushing his car. Yeah,
smashing your car into pieces, going, all right, hang on. Yeah.
People were just okay with people driving into other people's car back then.
Yes.
Everyday thing.
People had to get their comeuppance. So let's go back to that code thing here and see if we can work out if anything was changed. So with that code thing saying the script is unacceptable under the code and a motion picture based on it would never be approved without specific revisions, the general tone of the story needs to be raised considerably. As written, this is a story of extremely low moral tone, with emphasis on almost animal-like instincts and passions. I think that's what we saw in the film. I don't think it changed. The attraction of the two romantic leads should be one of... here we go. The attraction of the two romantic leads should be one of love rather than lust. So if it was originally written as lust, it makes a lot more sense, because we're trying to justify, but it does seem that he loves her, and it does seem she loves him.
It's true.
So maybe that is a code-enforced change.
Yeah,
Susan
maybe she wasn't getting anything from the
lust. Lust makes a lot more sense. Lust makes a lot more sense in the concept of this.
Didn't she speak about having a child as well? Like he had a big house and they didn't fill it because she didn't have a child.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like for one of her reasons for wanting to go. Yeah, I'll give you a baby in the bonnet.
I think that's the thing. That's what's changed nowadays. People don't like. Back then, they didn't like to think that women like to have sex. It was a bit of a taboo thing. It was like
exactly.
Men like that, and that's it. The people like want to turn away from thinking that women can enjoy a sex life, a healthy sex life.
Yeah,
and that is probably what the script was doing. She just wanted to sleep with this guy, fancied him because she wasn't getting anything from a radio host husband.
Yeah,
and then all this whatever transpires after that.
I mean, that radio host money's got to be more than that policeman money, right?
But then, but is she out for money? I think that's what she, at the beginning, the police guy was kind of, what's his name?
Webb.
Webb. He was talking to the partner saying, that's what she's there for, the money, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the impression he had. And I think that's why I thought, this is where the plan's coming from.
Yeah.
Not, he had it before the initial incident of a Prowler.
Mm-hmm.
That still makes it interesting. Yeah, it kind of makes sense that they had to cut that script a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's probably a result of just like... I can't remember if Strangers in a Train had that situation, but as we know, Streetcar did, because that was the thing that made me not want to give it a 10 at first, is the compromises because of the code. So if the compromises for the code were made in this film as well, it's probably what makes it seem a little more mysterious and layered than it actually might be, because perhaps if there was no code, it would be much more clear cut that he was the Prowler, that he did just want to get with this woman and kill her husband off and run away with her to the other side of the world.
Yeah, and you know it started with him looking through the window at her in the bath.
Yeah, 100%. You would have seen that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Norman Bates looking through the peephole in the motel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
It's Wayne Cousins.
But this also kind of makes it, just like this Streetcar stuff, getting round the fact that you couldn't show the things at that time, it kind of makes this film interesting for that reason.
It does, yeah. It adds another... It's an interesting study. I could imagine this being picked over in uni classes and whatnot.
Yeah.
As if you're doing a syllabus or module on production code. I wonder if our dear friend Jamie talks about the production code, if he goes that far back in cinema and talks about the production code at all. If you do, Jamie, how about you take this one to your students and get their opinion on it, as in what was the original story, what was the intent of the writer, and what are the compromises that had to be made for the code, and does the end result satisfy either? There you go. I've just done a lesson plan for you, Jamie.
That's like a whole 6 months at uni, isn't it?
Well, Jamie, take the week off, mate. Take the week off.
Just play this podcast.
Yeah.
He's not even going to read it out himself. He's just going to clip that up and press play on his laptop, and it's going to be
clip it up. Clip it up for the students.
Good subject.
But I'm enjoying looking at these 1951 films for this reason, because we're having to look at it through a different lens because of the time we're in anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Then also a different lens because of what was allowed to happen.
And it's also it adds total different context to a story, because whereas if this story was put in a modern day lens, you would look totally different on the characters. Like her kind of falling in love with I keep fucking forgetting his name.
Webb.
Yeah.
Her falling in love with Webb is almost like, I can imagine it back in the day. It's almost like women it almost felt like they were dependent on men and they needed to have a husband, and that's how you get around in life.
Yeah.
And it's like he was a better suitor than this other husband, so of course she's going to go with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas nowadays it's like, fuck off, you don't need to be with this man.
I know. It's true. The woman would go off by herself. I would, as a general note, in terms of the actors and actresses on this, even though we know nothing about these people, the leads, the one who plays Susan, she was in Gone with the Wind. She was Sue Ellen O'Hara in Gone with the Wind. That was her big thing at that point. So I think I read at the time that she was delighted to have made this film because it meant that people spoke about this film rather than Gone with the Wind when they spoke about her career.
Interesting. I don't think they'd be saying that now.
No.
Maybe at the time. If I wonder if this made waves anywhere.
Well, no one really watched it before we watched it, so there's like one person on my letterbox that had watched it.
Old Trumbo, get this. He was a cheeky chappy, that one. Not only did he write a script and not tell Hollywood, he was the voice of her husband.
Oh shit, was he?
Yeah, he wasn't the actor who played her husband.
No
when he
wonder
got
they
shot.
didn't show him.
I know, they're cheeky. They're cheeky.
That is nice. That is
I like
good.
their cheek. I like the gumption and the gall of them to do that.
Right, after that beautiful fact, I think we should start wrapping this film up.
Okay, so
Final thoughts and scores?
Let's do final thoughts and scores.
I didn't think it as much beforehand, but I think it's quite interesting, especially with the code, how they got this film to the screen, basically, with how they had to get around the code for the story. And I just kind of like the subtext of the film. It's a good film. I don't think it's great, so I give it a 7.
Aww.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's a 7 from me. Same reasons. There's enough of a thread to pull at, and we pulled at it here. And I'm intrigued, and I will still think about this film from time to time in the future and what it meant. And I was never bored. And like we said, it never outstayed its welcome. I was intrigued by it.
Yeah, for sure.
As much as this film intrigued me, I also found a lot of it unengaging, and therefore I'm giving this film a 5 out of 10.
Wow.
There we go. I knew it was going to be a terrible 5.
Yeah, same. I knew it was coming.
So, that means we average at 6.33. Gentlemen, are you ready to place
This place.
the film? This or the verdict? I'm going to say that
This.
it's this, yeah.
Yeah, this.
I'm going to say it's this. Oh, yeah, so it goes. Anderden. It's better than Anderden.
Yeah. What did I give Anderden?
You gave
Surely I didn't give it higher.
You gave it a 7, so
Yes, it goes higher than Anderden.
you're totally within your rights to keep pushing it up.
Yes.
The house that Jack built.
I gave it low, so it automatically goes above the house Jack built. I think I gave it a 6, actually, but it goes above.
And Adam, what did Adam give House that Jack built?
Probably a 4.
That's early days, what are we on?
Oh, mate, you gave it a 6, and I think that
You gave it a 7, so it's your choice, Ben.
I would need to revisit House that Jack built to consider it anyway. So this is better than House that Jack built. So we move on.
Above
it's
Bright.
better than Bright. It's
Yeah.
fucking better than Bright. Is
No,
it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Adam,
But-
you gave Bright a 7. You terrible
Yeah, I
man.
know, but looking back over time, those early days, they're uneducated days.
Good. It keeps on moving. This might be where it comes unstuck. Bride of Reanimator.
It's better than this.
Paul says it's better. Adam, what did you give Bride of Reanimator? You gave Bride of Reanimator a 6, so that's where it ends. That is where it ends. I'm the only one who gave Bride of Reanimator lower than this. So, that means Bride of Reanimator sits above it. It's in between Bride of Reanimator and Bright.
It's nice to do the scores and they actually mean something at the end of it.
That's
After
true.
you spent 20 minutes going through scores. Well, Paul will say that was better. It goes on.
I know.
And even
So
when
there
it
we
did
are.
fail, we just kept on going on anyway.
I know. It's absolute chaos.
Oh, this is an interesting one. This is a Man from the Boys.
Let's assume that it went above.
That's where it sits. But since you're referring to it, is now the time for us to correct the mistakes that were made in the last episode in terms of the scores?
We've done that already.
I've already done it.
Okay. So should we let the listeners know where Blind Fury is now?
Yes, go on. Try and find it.
I don't know where it is. You fixed it.
I'm trying to find it now.
Shall I look for it? It's going to be low, isn't it?
It's going to be no higher than a 7, right? So it's number 130. Yes. Just
close.
so everyone knows, it is lower. It is one step lower than this film. It's at 6.25 now, and it's between The Age of Innocence and Diner.
Christ, it's very close to the old relegation zone.
As it should be.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots away. But I think it's safe.
Not a good film. You might change your mind eventually.
Well, we'll all find out one day, one thing or another. You know, like it or love it.
That's where it sits. Do you want to hear one review we have for this film?
Yeah, who's
Not for
put
Blind
a
Fury,
review out?
For The Prowler. We got one from Luke Human. And he says...
Oh.
Casual victim blaming segueing into coercive control via stalking and abuse of position of authority. Prowler presents themes that are no less relevant 70 years later. Nice piece of well-paced noir. Well-paced.
There you
Indeed.
go. Agree with everything said, right? We covered.
Yeah.
We ticked all that off.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And he presumably subscribes to the belief that the policeman is the Prowler then, because he says stalker.
Yeah, I'd say so. It definitely is that. He definitely is supposed to. It's just, it kind of makes sense with the code that they didn't show that. She literally said that she was in the bath. So it kind of makes it quite a very sordid affair, if that's what he's doing.
Everyone in this film was referring to a Prowler. Like, in this day and age, you would never, if you saw something, you would never call, like if you saw someone looking through your window, would you call up the police and go, there's a Prowler outside?
Yeah, but
You'd say
cooler, doesn't it?
Does it?
You would just say there's a man outside my window.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all the reviews we got, just from Luke. So
Amazing. Thanks.
That's the end of The Prowler. You want to talk about what we're doing next week?
Well, we've got... should we tease our next 2 episodes?
Yeah, tease them both. Let's do
go
that.
then.
So the next film in 1951 that we are doing is called... Fuck me, I've forgotten the actual title of it.
Yes, because it's not what you first think.
It is The Thing from Another World, which is the original The Thing.
Yes, indeed. I'm excited to watch this. Just see
I
how it
went for a horror
compares.
film because of all the code and everything like that, and we can see how they can do that in a horror aspect and whether it's actually scary or not. And also, it's on BBC iPlayer for all of you people out there in the UK, so it's very easily accessible.
Beautiful.
You know, without having seen it, the thing that's interesting is, you know what, a horror film might actually get away with more because they don't typically need to have things like swearing, women having affairs, sexual stuff, especially back then. Like, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, interesting.
And then the next episode we're doing, there's going to be 4 of us. It's that time of year. I don't know if any of you follow him on Twitter, but you'll know he's very, very, very excited for the return of a franchise. It's number 6 in this franchise, and we're doing Scream 6, and Scott Redding is going to be here as well.
Scott Redding joining for Scream.
Yes,
Here he comes.
His
Woohoo!
popcorn mask bottle.
Scream
Popcorn
6.
mask bottle.
Whatever thing he bought was a bucket of
Popcorn
that's shaped
bucket
like the mask.
of Ghostface.
Okay, that thing.
Yes.
So we're covering our first 2023 film on the main.
Have you
Wiki
booked your tickets
wiki.
to go see Scream yet?
I am going in 2 days.
I'm going on Thursday.
I'm going on Sunday.
Ooh. Keep it secret. Keep it
Better
secret.
not tell me.
The only thing is I'm seeing Scott the day before now. So,
Well, you're
It's
going
gonna
to just
be
have to sit
very
on your
hard for him.
opinions, aren't you?
well, it's going to be hard
Well,
for him.
considering
He
that
did it
you're going to
last year,
see
to be
him,
fair.
and Paul is going to see him at work all the time,
Well, there's only
you're all
one
going to
day
know how he
between
feels.
Paul seeing it and...
Is anyone going to be surprised with what Scott's going to think of it, though?
No.
As long as you two keep your opinions to yourself.
We did it last time. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing him before with Scream 5, or Scream, whatever it was called then.
Well,
Look forward to it. Go watch them so you can actually get involved. But shall we move on to our patrons have to say this week?
Let's do our very best.
Well, our patrons, they let us know what they've been watching, the good and the bad. And
the ugly.
You know, we chat about it afterwards, and then we tell them whether we're going to watch it or not, basically.
Yeah.
If you want to become a patron, you become a patron at www.patreon.com/filmbusters, and you can become a patron just for a mere £1. And you might enjoy yourself, who knows? And you could become a patron just like the likes of Francis Siberini, who's still cracking away with The Last of Us episode with Ben, and you should go check them out.
I haven't watched the Last of Us episode yet.
Go check it out, man.
I will do. You also have Andy Bishop.
Holiday friends. You've also got Ben from Film Floggers.
You also have Mark and Steve from Movie Drone.
If you do, you got HVH, which is Home Video Hustle.
You've got Luke, robot, excuse me, human.
What? Why is he a robot?
I'm trying to jazz it up a bit.
Okay, is it because Sean's got a panda in the middle of his name?
Maybe.
Have you got to put objects in the middle of people's names? So
Well, no,
Sean
because
Panda Nicholson.
Luke is human, but he's robot. I said Luke robot.
Luke is
rather
human,
than
but
human.
he's robot.
Yeah, spoken like a true robot.
You have Nerd Revert, who is got a man as an icon with a guy wearing a t-shirt and a hat.
He also
that
owns
so?
Mubi, apparently.
He does own a movie, yeah. We established that on the Patreon episode.
Maybe owner. You got Julio Oliveira of Contrarian Prime fame.
Oh, yes, indeed. We also have Jamie, Ben's going to teach your class, Russell.
Yes. And last and not least, you have Katie with the and sign and OT.
What? More complicated than it needs to be.
Good to be detailed, eh?
Yeah, is an ampersand, is that what it's called?
It is an ampersand. Good boy.
Oh, look at that. So first of all, we got Sean, and he says, "Hey, bustin' buddies. Hope Bustersville is still seeing continued economic growth and the crime rates are down." Well, Adam keeps committing crimes, and he is a very hateful person, so I don't think it's ever going to stop. But we're fine, yeah. I watched Lucas Moodyson's We Are the Best, and I fell in love with its rebellious young teens. I found it really touching, even though I had no idea what it means to be a teenage girl in 1980s Stockholm. It still spoke to me. The young actors are fantastic and felt so authentic. It is a film with no real threat or massive narrative beats, but it's the subtle stuff that's happening that really got me. 9 out of 10.
Now, what was that film called?
We Are the Best. I am going to put that on my watch list. Sounds interesting.
We are the best. We are the people.
3 girls in 1980s Stockholm. Interesting.
Well, Sean, it's on the watch list. I don't really know what else to say about it other than I think I'm going to watch it from your recommendation.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Added. Thank you.
And secondly, he says, worst is Ali G in the house. It just doesn't hold up. It's like a greatest hits of all that was vile in the early noughties. It was like if Nuts magazine was a movie. I did chuckle a couple of times, but it's at best a 4 out of 10. I mean, he's probably right.
No, he is right. He is right. It is a 4 out of 10.
The funny thing is like, it is set where I kind of grew up, so like all the different types of massive are like loads of little local areas, and there needs to be people from like.
And that's fine. But the thing that works about Ali G and Borat is when they are being that persona with people who don't know they're being a persona. In those films, they're just playing a character. It's not, you're not funny just as a character. It's funny when you interact with real people.
I agree. Yeah.
God, you two are mad fuckers. Paul gives it a bloody 7 out of 10. He gives it higher than you, Adam.
I haven't gone to this film in ages, so it's probably not true. I'm going from a nostalgic 7. It's probably not actually that.
My name is Borat.
My name is Borat. I think Borat still holds up though.
Yeah, no, I mean Borat. Both of them hold up when you just go to their interviews.
It's mainly because the film is him being with people who don't know he's Borat, really.
Did you just listen to what Ben just said?
Yeah. No, but I'm saying Ali G.
I know.
But you're saying the films don't work, but the to do that. I don't worry.
That's true, but equally, like the stuff that doesn't work in the Borat film is everything that's scripted. Like, for example, you know when they go and stay, there's a big so-called funny scene, which ain't funny, where they go and stay with a Jewish couple, and he only realises too late that they're Jewish.
Oh, right, yes.
I mean, it's just not funny. As far as I'm concerned, what's funny is him then encountering the guy in the shop going, "Oh, what is this?" And he's going, "That's
Is this
cheese."
papers?
And this, yeah,
Is this a
This is
rock?
potato. This is a pen. That's cheese also. That's funny. That's all you need. You don't need these scripted set pieces.
I know.
But yeah,
That is
Ali G
the
in the
best.
house has none of it. It's true. There's no real people. It's just yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes,
anyway,
I would-
he finishes
I'd be
saying,
inclined to
"Anyway,
agree.
love you guys, and I hope life keeps being good to you. If it is, if it isn't, I hope it gets better."
Bless you. Thank you.
Bless you, Sean.
And
You
same
man.
wishes for you. Go buy Sean's album. Here's something that is interesting about Ali G in the house, though. The director is Mark Millard, who directed Succession and The Menu.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. All right, well, cheers for that, Sean. Next up, we have Luke, and his highlight is 2022's Bones and All. Paul, going to cover his ears for this Timothée Chalamet praise, I'm sure. Despite the premise, we're deep within the romantic drama genre, and the reality of this aspect sells the story within a coming-of-age crime road movie narrative. Chalamet and Rylance are A-list quality, but it is Russell's performance that exceeded my expectations with her balanced portrayal of Maron, desperate to understand herself and the world around her. Proceedings are further bolstered by some great moments from Harper, Savigny, Holland, and especially Stolberg. Midwestern scenery, measured gore, and a superb soundtrack are layered brilliantly to give a nostalgic, dreamy quality to the protagonist's journey. This is also a rare example of a film that totally sticks the landing, building to an exceptionally good end after the calm of the second act's ebbing. A fantastic addition that, while straddling a number of genres, can fit firmly into one of my favourite one of my favourite. Did so
right.
well. I'm in the last line.
Johnny Bravo.
Hubba. Can fit firmly into one of my favourite horror sub-genre sets. 9 out of 10.
I'm interested to watch it. I'm interested.
I am very interested to watch it.
Good boy.
It's just I saw not the trailer. You know when you hover over things on like Amazon Prime and it just starts playing the beginning of the trailer because I had seen nothing of it. I wanted to get a feel of it. I was like, oh, this is interesting because I kind of thought it was meant to be like a Call Me by Your Name spiritual sequel because it's him and the director again. But it is like vampiric
Yeah,
or
seems so.
cannibalistic, I should say.
Yeah, cannibalistic. Interesting. I will watch it. I'm not really that bad on Chalamet. I just do it just for dramatic effect.
He hates them.
I hate him.
Return
to normality.
I think here's the negative. I think this is the first person I've seen give this one a negative. 2022's Brian and Charles. Archer's direction produces what is no doubt a well-made film, but the extension to feature from his short film relies so heavily on the audience's connection with Brian that those, like me, who see the character as a derivative one-note take on far better eccentric, socially challenged comedy creations, will struggle. Earl is good at what he is doing, but there's nothing new, subtle or profound here, despite what the indie aesthetic would have you believe. There are better films that deal with the similar themes of creation, responsibility, and the protection of the naive wanting to experience the world than running afoul of its perilous reality. Short Circuit 2, for example. 5 out of 10. Oof. And Luke don't often go hard on a film. Not that hard.
That is hard.
So he must really dislike that.
That is pretty bad.
And to say that Short Circuit 2 is better, my God, it must be really fucking bad.
Yes, that has some racistness in that.
Yeah, I know. One of the more disappointing adult experiences was revisiting
I know.
Short Circuit 2 and seeing how racist that portrayal was. Like,
So
they just
bad.
straight up got a white man to be an Indian man and do the
As
accent.
main character.
Yeah, no makeup or anything. Just do the voice. Just do the
Yeah,
voice.
just do it. Don't worry about it.
Which voice exactly? Just general Pakistani. That'll do. People will believe you're a Pakistani man.
Ridiculous, man. How
Terrible,
did they
innit?
get away with that, man?
And he's in Succession now as one of the
Oh,
board
yeah, yes.
members.
Yes, he is. He is. Yeah.
Johnny Five is alive.
And he's very racist.
Yeah. Steve Guttenberg's the man. Oh, you know the details.
Anyway, that is it. That is what our patrons have to say.
Need input.
Oh, I bet he does. Dirty little fuck.
Let's do Short Circuit 2 on the pot. Come on.
You're gonna trash that film.
Was that made in 1951? Someone
May as
send
well
us Short
been.
Circuit 2 for the future, please.
That's the end of the episode, guys. That was Prowler.
Thank Christ.
Yes, we're leading on to talk about Scream 6, and then on to talk about The Thing from another world? Planet?
Environment.
Things from another world.
Yeah.
The Thing
another
is
world.
from another world.
Yes, there you go. That's what we're doing. Go check them out. Otherwise, we love you. Go check out the Patreon episode, which you can listen to right now.
Good to be back, boys.
Good to be back.